you guys for being here, keeping the crowd small and intimate. I appreciate that. As she said, my name's Will Carter. I'm the CTO of Lamina One. If you happen to catch the keynote, we were on stage with John Wu. We're one of the fastest growing subnets on Avalanche. And today I wanted to share a little bit about, we're not supposed to pitch you guys, so I'm not going to pitch you on Lamina One. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about what we do. But the focus of this is to share some of my own personal insights, both building Lamina One, but also building in this space generally for the past 8 or 9 years. I've been in blockchain since about 2016. A little bit more about me. Lamina One launched in 2022. Before that, I worked with David Chom to build layer 1 protocols, basically from whiteboard all the way into implementation. So I've worked on layer 1 protocols, core cryptography, quantum secure cryptography. I've built a lot of the technology that underpins what Avalanche is today, just on a different network. And I've seen it all. And so I want to share some of the pitfalls and hopefully guide you in a productive way if you decide to either build in Web3 or on Avalanche specifically. John Wu already gave a really good breakdown on some of the differences between traditional ways of growing a company, building capital, and how it differs from the Web3 approach. So I'm not going to try to recreate that. But I think the gist of it is that blockchain has become much more than just a data structure. It's really a new way for you to incubate and bring technology or a product or an app to life. I'm going to start a little meta here, but I want to hammer this home because I've seen so many projects in this space fail here, and that's with the problem and solution. What is it you're trying to solve? And I think a lot of us already know, one of the first, slides in a pitch deck is, what's your problem? What are you trying to solve? In the Web3 space, it's particularly important, not just to building a compelling product, but also this problem statement is going to end up being one of the key pieces for how you evangelize your community. And Web3 is all about having an evangelized community. It's the only way it works. And I'll talk more about that later. This is our problem statement, and this comes from a very personal place. One of our co-founders is Neil Stephenson. He's a famous author, futurist. He wrote Cryptonomicon, Snow Crash, coined the term metaverse. And what he sort of experienced in releasing a lot of these stories and trying to tell these stories was that he was running up against a lot of centralized power, gatekeepers. He lost control of some of his IP for a while. And so when you start thinking about what your problem is, it should probably come from a personal place, like a pain point that exists, that people face. I think this is a pain point and a problem that a lot of creatives, not just Neil, have experienced throughout their creative process. And so this is what we're trying to solve. And we're doing it through Lamina One. And just as important as the problem is going to be the solution. And like I said, I've been in this space for a long time. Of these features and a lot of our development time is spent around onboarding and user experience. How do you make this something that's not usable just for the people in this room, but for the general audience? If you need to walk people through making a wallet, if you need to walk people through paying gas, if you need to walk people through getting onto an exchange and getting currency before they can do anything on your platform, you've already failed. You're not going to reach mainstream adoption. So a lot of our time and energy goes into making this a usable experience. I think Goon up there during the keynote showed us the hockey graph, was it that hockey puck? And he showed WordPress, which is all about making this technology more approachable and usable by creators. That's what we're trying to do. So we have a couple of things here: the Creator Studio, no-code templates. These are all ways that creators can start building on our platform, releasing content that all has embeddable rights, royalties. They can start distributing it, trading it, selling it. They don't have to worry about the difference between an ERC 721 or an ERC 1155. They can just focus on what they want to do, which is create content that they think is compelling. We have other things like quests and campaigns that start building some of the economic principles that are pretty popular in blockchain technology directly into the IP development process. So you can empower and encourage your fans to build alongside you, to evangelize for you, you reward them, and this is how you as a single independent creator can start building a force behind your vision. And later, if you do decide to go to traditional VC or traditional financing in Hollywood, this is where you can come with a little bit of leverage. You can say, I've already built a community. Sometimes I even have existing recurring revenue. Now I have leverage. I don't have to give up as much of my creative rights and decision making. Another big thing that I encourage anyone building in this space to do is to launch with an exciting initiative based on what you would consider maybe your secret sauce. So obviously, we have world-class creators like Neil Stevenson, like Rebecca Barkin. So we have a little bit of an advantage here, but you don't need this. Find your secret sauce, find something and this doesn't have to be just in the creative industry, whatever project you're trying to launch, find something exciting that you can use and build and release first as a showcase for all of the consumers, the customers that you want to come afterwards. So what we're building with What a Workshop, which is the special effects company that worked on Lord of the Rings and a lot of the other major Hollywood releases, is a collaborative world building experience, which we're then going to use to sort of inspire other creators to follow in the same process. So what this is going to do is take an IP element, just a seed of a story, and it's going to empower the community through something which I'll show in a moment called Spaces, to build that story into something that they helped create. They'll get ownership in the process. They'll help get to decide how the story unfolds. There'll be rights and royalties long form down the line that they get to participate in. And through this process, we can bring a vision to life and then show it as a benchmark for the way other people can bring their visions to life. So again, you don't have to have a celebrity presence to do this, but you should find a really compelling, cool way to use your product that you can showcase, because it's much easier to get adoption if you can show people how it's working rather than trying to convince them that it will work. So economics is a big part of all Web3 platforms. I think it's extremely important for success, and it's something that we consider both on the macro scale, the success of our platform, but also micro scale, the success of individual initiatives within our platform, so maybe individual IP spaces, to align the incentives correctly to evangelize that community. So you need to find a way to harness, like I said earlier, to harness that creator community. There are 54% of Gen Z wants to be a creator. Give them a reason to be a creator for you. This just kind of harkens back, I think, to whether or not you go to a traditional VC. So the way that we've built this is a similar system that I think is going to work for our IP spaces. It's basically an economic flywheel for those of you who are familiar with the process. For us, you get L1, you can stake it, you earn rewards. We have creator grant programs. Those creator grant programs will help redistribute creator grants to our overall community, to very popular IP projects. Rebecca on stage talked about the notion of a tastemaker, or creating a sort of decentralized gatekeeper rather than having Netflix or Disney or whoever decide what gets distributed, what gets created. We're going to create a DAO essentially of individuals formed of creators, of fans, who will decide what content gets created, which gets distributed, which gets grant rewards. So this is a similar structure that we encourage creators to put within their own spaces. Find a way to get tokens in the hands of your creators and give them a reason to participate. Finally, there's spaces. I wanted to mention this real quick. I am running out of time. Make it engaging. Have a way for the community to work together towards something in your platform. For us, ours is spaces. So, when you're trying to build an IP universe, a space is the social environment that allows you to do that. It has quests, it has social commentary, it has ways to distribute content, sell content. It's got Reddit-like features for upvoting, tracking reputation, stuff like that. But I think this is really important to keeping that community engaged that I talked about earlier. Find a way to provide some social interaction within the product and platform. Finally, like I said, we're one of the fastest growing subnets on Avalanche. If you'd like to join us, see what we're all about, you can go to lamina1.com. If you scroll down to the bottom, you can see a couple of our communities. I recommend going to the Discord community first if you want to get involved. It's particularly welcoming community, a lot of activity, and yeah, thank you for your time. Happy to answer any questions you have. Yes.
I'll run around with them.
You can shout at me.
So are you focused on movies, or are you focused on gaming, or will it also work for written, like books or essays or whatever? And also, as kind of a follow-up, presumably there's copyright protection that's going on there, and can that get you a book deal? Or they cross? Anyway, you get the gist of what I'm asking.
Definitely, yeah. Yeah, so we are trying to be essentially, I guess, transmedia. So we want to support as many different media types as possible for the storyteller. We are focusing primarily, like video is a big one for us. So movies, TV shows are going to be a big focus, especially given like the history and background of Diehl. So will prose and written content. Those would probably be the two that we're focused on first. Games are certainly something we want to focus on in the future as well. But games in particular are maybe a little harder to get off the ground as an independent creator. It's not that it can't be done, but it is like a bigger undertaking, generally speaking. So it's all stuff that we want to support at some point. As far as IP rights and royalties go, it is stuff we're embedding directly into all of the assets and content that gets distributed in the platform. It's all done in a no-code flow, but it is enforceable on chain. So when you go through our Creator Studio, you can say, here's how I want the content to be used, how it can be used, who can use it. You can define royalty splits, all of that stuff, and then it'll get encoded into a legal framework for you, so that when you do go for a book deal or a movie deal later on, you can take that with you. Yeah.
Thank you, Will. I'm sure you're going to stick around for another questions if
feel free to ask any more questions.
Okay. We have